The rain in the city didn't wash things clean, it just made the neon lights bleed onto the pavement like oil. Rebecca pulled her trench coat tighter, shivering not from the cold, but from the realization that she had walked into a lion's den. The Midnight Lounge wasn't a place for junior accountants looking for their wayward sisters. It was a place for people who didn't have last names. She checked her phone. 11:58 p.m. The text had said midnight. "You look lost, sweetheart." The voice was low, rasping like velvet dragged over gravel. Rebecca spun around. Standing in the shadows of the club's rear exit was a woman who looked like she was carved out of trouble and expensive cologne. She wore a sharp, charcoal suit that fit her lean frame perfectly, the top button of her dress shirt undone to reveal the ink of a tattoo creeping up her neck. "I'm looking for someone," Rebecca said, her voice shaking. "Aren't we all?" The woman stepped into the light. Her eyes were dark, intelligent, and terrifyingly calm. "But usually, people looking for something around here end up finding a grave. You need to leave." "Not without my sister." The woman tilted her head. A heavy metal door slammed open behind them. 3 men spilled out, shouting. The woman in the suit didn't flinch. She just sighed, grabbed Rebecca's wrist with a grip like iron, and yanked her behind a dumpster just as a gunshot cracked the air. "Well," the woman whispered, her lips inches from Rebecca's ear, smelling of whiskey and rain. "You wanted to find trouble. Congratulations. You just walked right into the trap." The ride was a blur of speeding lights and sharp turns. Rebecca sat in the passenger seat of a matte black sports car, her heart hammering against her ribs. The woman driving, who had introduced herself only as V, drove with a terrifying ease, one hand on the wheel, eyes scanning the rearview mirror. "Where are we going?" Rebecca asked, gripping the leather seat. "Somewhere they can't find you," V said. "My place." "I can't go to your place. I don't know you. You're one of them." V glanced over, a smirk playing on her lips. It transformed her face from frightening to devastatingly handsome. "I'm the reason they didn't put a bullet in you back in the alley. You're the collateral damage I didn't ask for, but I'm not in the habit of letting civilians die on my watch." They arrived at a penthouse that overlooked the city skyline, a glass box in the sky. It was stark, modern, and screamed lonely wealth. "Here's the deal," V said, tossing her keys onto a marble counter. She walked to a liquor cabinet and poured 2 glasses of amber liquid. "My rivals saw your face. They think you're with me. If you step out that door before I clear this mess, you're dead. So, you're trapped here." "With me?" Rebecca stared at her. "Trapped." "Until sunrise," V said, extending a glass. "Drink. You look like you're about to shatter." The clock on the wall read 1 a.m. The adrenaline was fading, leaving Rebecca exhausted but hyper-aware of the woman pacing the living room. V had taken off her suit jacket and rolled up her sleeves. Her forearms were corded with muscle, covered in intricate artwork, snakes and roses. "Why did you save me?" Rebecca asked, sitting on the edge of a sprawling velvet sofa. V stopped pacing. She leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window, the city lights framing her silhouette. "Maybe I was bored. Maybe I liked your coat." She turned, her eyes softening slightly. "Or maybe I saw someone who loved their sister enough to walk into hell. I respect loyalty." "She's in debt," Rebecca confessed. "I was bringing the money." "I know," V said. "I paid it for her an hour ago." Rebecca stood up, shocked. "What? Why?" V crossed the room, the distance between them closing instantly. The air in the room seemed to thicken, charged with sudden electricity. "Because she works for me. She's a good kid. Dumb, but good." V stopped right in front of Rebecca. She was taller, forcing Rebecca to look up. Up close, V's eyes weren't just dark, they were a deep, molten brown, flecked with gold. "You, on the other hand," V murmured, her gaze dropping to Rebecca's lips, "are a reckless distraction." "I'm not a distraction," Rebecca whispered, though her breath hitched. "I'm a problem." "The worst kind," V agreed. She reached out, her fingers brushing a stray lock of hair from Rebecca's forehead. The touch was startlingly gentle for a woman who could likely dismantle a gun blindfolded. "You're the kind of problem I want to solve." The tension snapped. It wasn't a gradual slide. It was a collision. Rebecca didn't know who moved first, but suddenly V's hand was on her waist, pulling her flush against the hard lines of her body. Rebecca's hands found purchase on V's shoulders, gripping the silk of her shirt. V smelled like danger and safety all at once. "Tell me to stop," V warned, her voice a low growl against Rebecca's neck. "Tell me to back off, and I will walk into the other room and lock the door." "Don't," Rebecca breathed. "Don't you dare leave." V didn't need to be told twice. She captured Rebecca's lips in a kiss that was searing and possessive. It tasted of whiskey and the desperate urgency of the night. It was a gangster's kiss, taking what it wanted, demanding everything. Rebecca melted into it. Her quiet, orderly life as an accountant seemed a million miles away. Here, in the arms of a woman who ran the city's underground, she felt more alive than she ever had. They stumbled backward, V guiding Rebecca toward the sofa without breaking the kiss. Every touch was electric. V's hands were everywhere, in Rebecca's hair, on her waist, tracing the line of her spine. "You have no idea," V whispered against her lips, "how dangerous this is for you." "I don't care about safe," Rebecca replied, pulling V closer by her tie. "I care about this." For the next few hours, the outside world didn't exist. There were no rival gangs, no debts, no rain. Just the heat of skin on skin, the soft gasps in the quiet penthouse, and the feeling of falling into a trap you never wanted to escape. Sunlight hit the glass walls, blinding and rude. Rebecca woke up alone on the velvet sofa, covered by a heavy wool blanket. Panic flared in her chest for a second. Had V left? Was it all a game? She sat up, hearing the clink of china. V was in the kitchen, dressed in fresh clothes, a crisp white shirt and black trousers. She held 2 mugs of coffee. She looked tired, but when she saw Rebecca, a small, genuine smile broke through her stoic mask. "Morning," V said, setting the coffee down. "Black, 2 sugars." "I guessed." "You guessed right." Rebecca took the mug, wrapping her hands around the warmth. Is the heat off?" V nodded, leaning against the counter. "I made a few calls. The people looking for you won't be looking anymore. Your sister is safe. You're free to go." The words hung in the air. Free to go. Rebecca looked at the door. It was unlocked now. She could leave. She could go back to her apartment, her job, her safe, predictable life. She looked back at V. The gangster was watching her carefully, her face neutral, guarding her emotions. But her hands were gripping the edge of the counter tight enough to turn her knuckles white. "The trap is open," V said quietly. Rebecca stood up. She walked toward the door, and she saw V's shoulders slump imperceptibly. But Rebecca didn't open the door. She walked past it, picking up her coat, and then turned back to V. "I think I forgot something," Rebecca said. V raised an eyebrow. "What?" "My number," Rebecca said, a playful smile touching her lips. "And maybe a dinner date? Somewhere that doesn't involve gunfire." V let out a laugh, a startled, bright sound that transformed the room. She walked over to Rebecca, the predatory gangster gone, replaced by a woman who looked like she'd just won the lottery. "I think I can manage that," V said, taking Rebecca's hand and kissing the knuckles. "But I have to warn you. Once you're in my life, there's no getting out." Rebecca squeezed her hand back. "Good. Because I'm not planning on going anywhere."